Hello, it's your favorite sports Unc here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without you. So please subscribe or you're going to make Ocho cry.
Ocho, the 49ers got back on the winning track with a solid win tonight on the road against the Seattle Seahawks, 36-24. Brock Purdy had another strong game throwing the football, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns. George Kittle was cooking. I needed you last week, George, to give me a touchdown so I could have won that parlay. Kittle, he had 5 catches for 58 yards and 2 scores, Ocho. Isaiah Garindo filled in admirably for Jordan Mason. He had 99 yards on 10 carries. Mason had a strong night before he got injured. Geno Smith struggled despite throwing for 300 yards, finished with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Kenneth Walker had 14 carries for 32 yards and a score. Tyler Lockett caught 4 passes, 65 yards and a touchdown. But I thought this game could have been over a lot earlier, Ocho. Had the 49ers been like they were last year, really good in the red zone. Because you see early on they were settling for field goals. And, and you settle for field goals, you get a field goal, and then next thing you know, you kick the ball off and the guy runs it back in what should have been a more lopsided game. But give those guys credit. Purdy stood in the pocket, played really well. The running game was really good. And so when you can run the ball, it doesn't matter who's back there. As long as you can run the football, you can play action off of it, and good things normally happen for you down the field. But you see McIver. That's what we call Debo. They talking about your Swiss Army knife. Nah, that joker McIver, because he can make anything work. He can return punts. He can return kickoff. You can line him up in the backfield like a true running back. You can put him in the slot. You can put him out wide. There's nothing he can't do on the football field. So he had an outstanding game tonight. I think he had over 100 yards or close, or maybe over 100 yards on like 3 catches. Brandon Ayuk is starting to get into the flow of things. He's starting to look like the Brandon Ayuk of last year. The guy that was, when Debo got hurt, showed that he could be a number 1 receiver. Kittle did an outstanding job of blocking. The offensive line was solid again. But I thought they really played well, Ocho, and got back on the winning track, considering the last couple of weeks they let a couple slip away.
Yeah, I mean, they played well. Their first 4 series, they ended up scoring. Obviously, the first one they got 7 and 3 field goals after that. Yeah, the first 5 possessions for the goddamn Seahawks, they got nothing going. Obviously, Geno can't really throw those interceptions to give himself a chance, to give his team a chance offensively. Obviously, kickoff, there was a kickoff return in the second half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the kickoff return in the second half kind of got them in rhythm. And obviously, once they got the ball back, that was one of their best drives. They went down and scored again, and it was 14 unanswered at that point. And it kind of somewhat stalled out, a little bit into the fourth quarter. But by that time, Geno had thrown another pick. And
that last pick doomed them.
Yeah, that doomed him. Obviously, Geno is against the 49ers. He's 0-5. He's 0-5, and that's including the playoffs. So he doesn't play well against him. And in order for Geno to be able to beat them and give their team a chance, you just can't turn the ball over. You can't turn the ball over. And some of those possessions that you do have, you got to get points out of it. You got to get points. I think the first 4 or 5 possessions the Seahawks had, they got nothing. They got nothing out of that, and did get a field goal until I think a little later. By that time, the 49ers were ahead by 14 or so. But other than that, I mean, it was a decent game. I would have liked to see the Seahawks play a little better for them to get where they want to go. They're teams like this. These are the type of team that they need to compete with, and the type of team that they need to beat. And I think, hell, it all starts with the quarterback play. Geno has to play better. I'm sure he knows that. When he watches film, he'll see some of the throws that he missed.
On the third down. Third down that he had, what was that? Was it Lockett? Was it Njigba?
Njigba on one of the crossers. Lockett should have caught that. Lockett should have caught that ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
DK you got to help me out a little bit. You got to help me out a little bit. Cross the middle or early in the game on that dig. I mean, just listen, I'm nitpicking, but you got to almost be perfect at every skill position and show up for your quarterback, because when you're playing a team like this, you got to be perfect. You damn near got to play perfect football to compete with them. And this, if you're trying to get to the playoffs, if you're trying to be serious about winning Lombardi, it's games like this where you got to show up.
Well, I think the thing is, Ocho, is that when you play like, what's your ultimate goals? Because if your ultimate goals is not winning the championship, what you're not nitpicking. Don't even worry about it then. Y'all do what y'all want to do. Everything going to be okay. But if your ultimate goal is to win a championship and you lose the game, those are the things that you can go back and focus on and says, okay, guys, we got to make these plays here. It's a play here or there. And that's the difference. It comes down to guys making plays or not making plays. It's really, look, no matter what the sport is, it's really not that complicated. What team made the most plays? And when did they make said plays? Because all plays aren't created equal. And that's what people get upset at me about. They're like, well, the guy played well. I said, but let me ask you a question. What role did that interception play late? And people got on me about Joe Burrow. I said, hold on. All I know is that the Bengals had a lead until he fumbled the football and they got a scoop and score.
Right.
Well, no, ain't no well and well. I'm just saying. A turnover in the first quarter doesn't have the same weight, Ocho, as a turnover in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left in the game. Especially when the game now, if you turn it over in the first quarter, you turn it over in the fourth quarter, and you up by 17 points with 2 minutes to go, no harm, no foul.
Right.
But when you in a one possession game, hell, it can't be nothing but the likelihood early in the game like that. One possession game, because hell, you just started the first quarter. So the likelihood of you being down 21-0 or 28-0 in the first quarter is not very likely. So all turnovers aren't created equal. And so when you look at it, you go back and like, yeah, that third down, because that gives me another 3 to 4 downs, Ocho, to get the ball closer to the end zone, the end zone, or get it to in close to field goal range. And so, and you look at, I'm like, damn, Geno, I can see if he was under duress, Ocho, but he shot that like 10 feet over the dude's head.
Also, listen, somebody on offense, I don't know who the offensive coordinator is, even the head coach. If you can see, goddamn Bosa is very destructive the entire goddamn game. Chip that motherfucker. If anything, slap the goddamn protection.
Yeah,
he's disrupting and forcing Geno to throw faster than he wants to. He got 2 seconds. At least give him 3 seconds. He get the ball in his hands, and it's 2 seconds before they can even get into the goddamn route. Bosa right there.
Yeah. But see, the problem is you got Leonard Floyd on the other side. So you slide that one way. So now you got Leonard Floyd working 1-on-1. Right. So you got to basically, so unless you want to chip your way out on both sides and leave your guards inside on the D tackles, because their pressure is outside pressure. Because Hargrove, if I'm not mistaken, I think Hargrove is hurt and he's on IR. So they don't really have anybody that can consistently collapse the pocket from inside and then force you into Bosa and Leonard Floyd. So basically the pressure is coming from outside and Geno must step up in the pocket. But that's the thing why they went and got Leonard Floyd. And it just goes to show you, Ocho, sometimes a change of venue. People thought Leonard Floyd was a bust in Chicago.
Right.
Think about it now. He was a top 10 pick.
Oh, yeah.
Really didn't do a whole lot. But everywhere he's been since the Rams, he was big. He, Von Miller, and Aaron Donald. You see what he did in Buffalo. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had double-digit sacks in Buffalo. Parlayed that into a big contract with the 49ers. Sometimes, look, you just need a change of scenery, or you need somebody that understands your skill set and can maximize that skill set and your ability in what you do very well. But I thought the 49ers played really well. The only thing that I had a problem with, Ocho, is that you can't kick field goals. I mean, you cannot. You pay the ultimate price. The only thing that saved them tonight is that Seattle couldn't get anything going early. Because you keep kicking field goals, 2 touchdowns, this team's right back in the game. Mike had a lead.
Yeah.
So, but give those guys credit. I thought Brock Purdy played a really strong game. 3 touchdowns, 255, a clean game. That's what you got to have. Last week, it wasn't his finest outing. It wasn't his best effort turning the ball over. And when you're depleted somewhat down on the offensive side of football, look, they're running the football, but those guys aren't C-Mac. Those guys they can't just do what he does, Ocho.
Hold on. Jordan Mason numbers look just as good as C-Mac numbers at the same time last year.
But see,
is it really C-Mac, or is it the scheme in the offense and in the plays that Kyle Shanahan is calling? Chat, y'all stay with me a little bit. Look at C-Mac's numbers to week 5 and look at Jordan Mason's number to week 5. I mean, it might be equivalent. It might be a little bit more. I'm not sure what the production is. I might be off by a little bit, but it ain't too far off. So it got me thinking, well, is this a putting in plug or put anybody in type situation at running back in not Seattle, in San Francisco? Because it seemed like whoever's back there in that system, they get it goddamn done.
I give a prime example. I know this system very well.
Mm-hmm.
You look at all the guys that came after TD. You look
Yeah.
at Clinton Portis. You look at Mike Anderson. You look at Reuben Drones. You look at all the guys. Those guys could get yards. TD could run you to a Super Bowl.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Those guys can get yards. Christian McCaffrey run you to the NFC Championship game. He can run you to a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't offensive player. He wasn't offensive player of the year. Now, which one of those guys that have comparable numbers going to be offensive player of the year? Because he had those numbers and 20 touchdowns. You see the difference? Now I can put him in a situation.
But you got to think. Now we're comparing what he did in a full season, and we're looking at a small sample size of what Jordan Mason's been able to do. So I'm trying to say, what happened if Jordan Mason has a 16-week season based on his production so far?
Yeah.
What if his shoulder did get hurt? He left the goddamn game with 70 or 93 some yards, and he on 14 some carries. So what happened if he played the whole game?
Touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had touchdowns. So you win with scores, not yards.
And he could do so much more too, outside of just running out the goddamn backfield.
I can throw him the ball.
Yeah.
It's hard to set your defense. Well, you're going to hand it to him, or are they going to throw it to him?
Right.
The likelihood of them throwing the ball to Jordan Mason on something other than a screen.
Yeah, that might not be his thing.
that ain't happening, Ocho. But give the 49ers credit. They needed this ball game on a short week. A very, very tough loss last week to Arizona. They were up late by double figures late in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, and they found a way to lose that ball game. Give Arizona credit. Kyler Murray and his team made plays, but they wanted to get that taste out of their mouth. They had lost, if I'm not mistaken, they had lost to the Rams, and they had already lost to the Cardinals. You don't want to lose three. Didn't they lose to the Rams? I think they lost to the Rams. So that was 2 division losses. A third division loss, Ocho, early?
Yeah, they'd be behind the 8 ball like a motherfucker.
Yeah, they definitely would have been behind.